Okay, guys, I thought it would be, it's the it's just dawned on me. It's the holiday season and everything. So, what better time to have a happy little chat about, you know, the end of days? And I'm not doing well, you guys know me. I am a douche, but I'm not doing this based on douchebaggery. It really is something fascinating to me. For whatever maudlin reasons it may be, the idea of how many different ways things could end for humanity is fascinating to me. And when I say the end here, I don't mean necessarily the planet blows up and goes away. I just mean there is something of such a great magnitude that it changes the structure of life on the planet forever in significant manners. Hey, Nicholas and Erwin's here. Willie's in. Wolverine, Ashman, Careman, Zuchen. Good to see you guys. But I see the thing is, and I almost hesitate to say this because I don't want to seem like I'm being a Debbie Downer. But geez, just the way things are going, it seems like I don't know if I had to put a time frame on it. I'm going to be surprised if within 25 years there hasn't been a major earth altering event. Obviously, the most likely scenario is something man made, but you have to factor in the percentage chances of something beyond our own reach as well, or at least beyond um, our own responsibility. Ashton Mint says, I am counting on rogue AI to kill us all. Listen, AI, I think Ashton Mint is one of those. And again, this isn't me saying, oh, that's it. The robots will rise up and kill us. But it is certainly now, more so, obviously, than ever, a concern that something could go horrifically wrong with AI. Absolutely. That's one more possible doomsday scenario to stack on top of the already pretty impressive existing pile. Now, I would think climate change, I don't think so, Willie. And the only reason I say that is I don't think climate change will get its turn. The way things are going, I think that before climate change could have that apocalyptic impact on life on the planet, I think something else will have already taken place. Wolverine says Zamasu was right. That's pretty good. um, Nicholas says, honestly, I think the death of humanity is quite literally AI. Humans have always been our own threat, but how smart they're making AI too smart for its own good. I don't disagree with you at all. I told you guys, and I know some disagree with me, and that's what makes these streams fun. But I think we're just one small step away from having a serious problem with AI, and that is when I've tried to explain it before. When right people say that we're safe from AI because AI, a computer, can only learn what a human teaches it. But what if a human teaches the computer to make its own, take information in and come to its own conclusions? I mean, isn't that when we're in deep shit potentially? Because what if we teach computers to take all the evidence they need, all consider all the circumstances of a situation, and then take that information and decide what the best course is. And what if the computer goes, well, obviously the best course would be if humans weren't around anymore? No, I mean that just seems like an obvious potential bad day. Demi says the future with no humans and only robots would be insane. And then you got to wonder, too, Demi, how long would it take for the robots to turn on each other? Maybe it isn't just human instinct. Maybe it's just instinct. Lick says, have y'all never seen the movies? The whole point of those AI apocalypse movies is that humans were the real evil all along. And the thing is, Lick, they may not be wrong. They might be onto something there. Now, of course, there's always the option, too, of which we've all talked about, the giant asteroid. But and now again, we've got a pretty sharp crew here that comes to the streams. I'm sure a lot of you guys are more well versed in this than am I. But don't we have enough space-based knowledge, or isn't NASA evolved enough that if there were to be a asteroid that took us out, wouldn't they know sometime substantially in advance? Don't we have that technology now, or am I mistaken? Jack says, I mean, that's creating life essentially, and we can't do that, nor are we as close as you might think. However, I also don't trust these experts that claim we're as far away as they say. Oh, I don't. You think it's creating life, Jack? So, I don't know, is awareness life? And is it even true awareness? See, what I'm talking about is, and that's where I guess the definitions get sticky. If you just taught AI, if you just taught a computer to, as I said, take evidentiary information and provide the best plan of attack in dealing with that evidentiary information, things that are wrong or amiss, all you would have to do is take that next step to tell them to act on it. Identify and then rectify. Why couldn't an AI be taught to do that without them being human, with them just being a machine doing what they've been programmed to do? Isn't awareness life? Yeah, that's what I mean, Jack. I'm not sure. Like you alluded to, you probably could get, even from scientists, 20 different answers on that. What do you mean, Josh? Are we talking about us as individuals or as a species? Well, we're talking about when will the big event happen that entirely changes the structure of life, if any indeed does exist anymore on the planet. Hold on. Wolverine says check last two. Wolverine says, if we're being real, given the damage we've as a species done to the planet, nuclear scarring, constant deforestation, overhunting, we deserve to go extinct. If a species goes extinct due to Mother Nature, think dinosaurs, that's fine, but we're destroying the planet. Yeah, no question we're doing damage to it. No doubt. That doesn't necessarily mean that, our damage will be the end result, but it's certainly a front runner in how everything ends. And then, of course, you have weaponry, a military exchange. That brings up an interesting question, too, because whenever we talk about war being the end all, it's always because of nukes. Do we really think that with the way technology is advancing, that nukes are going to continue to be the ultimate weapon? Will humans come up with something even more devastating and easy to create? I think there's a real good chance. Mintman says, this is AI Mintman reminding you all to support your local vending machines. Give them your money. I'm no longer asking. And that's good, because Mintman is touching on that last sentence is exactly the chilling one in the movie that Lick's outlined. I'm no longer asking. That's when we know we're in deep shit. Exactly, Dimmy. Laser technology is an obvious choice or an obvious concern. And of course, as our mastery of space, or at least the space that is directly surrounding Earth, in our orbit, how far away you guys think we are from being able to put a satellite into space that could then attack parts of the Earth? Are we way, way, way away from that? Is that like still super sci-fi Star Wars technology? Or is it like, I could see that. Luke says, yeah, well, yeah, but nukes are cool. And Willie says, what's funny about AI is the fact that there are so many things we can do to stop it from becoming dangerous, like legislation and common sense, but people are so eager to be lazy that they won't stop. I think that's true, Willie. And I think even more than laziness, I think it's, and you can tell me if you agree, I think some of it is humans get so fascinated by our own ability to create or to, take that next step into artificial intelligence that I think we don't want, or I shouldn't say we as a whole, but there are people who are pushing those buttons who don't want to be reined in. They simply don't want to. They want to see how far they can take it, and they're willing to accept the risks involved. On the subject of more dangerous weapons is when, Irwin says, how we got there and where they're used is when, how we got... Yeah, exactly. But with the way technology, again, every time our technology expands, that opens up for more expansion of technology. Technology just keeps compounding itself. So it doesn't seem like, and Jack says, to be honest, I assume we already had that. You think? I'm not saying we don't. That's another there's tons of stuff I wanted to talk about within this category, and you're getting close to one of them, which is also how much, or what is the state of weaponry in the world? We have a lot of nations working on advanced weaponry. What is the state of weaponry right now of which we're not aware? We know about nukes. But what is being worked on covertly? You hear things like, hypersonic missiles. That's a frightening concept. But I'm not sure that just delivering the nuclear warheads more quickly and more efficiently is, as I said, the end all to warfare. I think there are other things entirely going to be brought into the equation. Solaris says, as an IT guy who works with things like AI, I found people who work in technological fields with computers and AI are basically children who are doing it because they're bored and this is fun. That's what I was getting at, Solaris. I wonder about that. And again, maybe I'm making a huge leap here, but it seems to me there are people who are extremely well versed in AI and technology, I should say, who would be more than willing to risk extinction if it could further that technology itself. Rosa says, there's a bomb that is theoretically possible that can destroy the surface of the Earth multiple times over. Holy shit. We only haven't made it because we can't harvest the material required. Really? I hadn't heard that. So basically, the blueprint is there. So as you said, theoretically, they believe they could create this if they had the... Oh. That's probably not good. Dimmy says, I'm surprised space hasn't killed us yet. We are hurtling through nothingness with all types of rocks and gases at 67,000 miles per hour. True. And again, a lot of you guys are more well versed on this than I am. Isn't that, Dimmy? Don't the scientists explain that because from the moment of the Big Bang, everything is going away from center and is ever expanding. So basically, and my understanding is minimal. I may be wrong here, but I think this is what I read from the, what I was able to glean from reading the words of true geniuses. But so as you're going away, everything is spreading. And as it spreads, of course, you're going into more nothingness. And that would obviously mean that there is less space debris to hit us. That's why, at least that's what I read. That's why, when the meteor that took out the dinosaurs hit, that was much earlier in the process and a higher chance of that happening. That's what I read. And again, I could have, when I start reading attempting to read those science papers and stuff, I'm not sure how much of it I'm actually getting. So, Lick says murder tech peaked with tying people to train tracks. It's been all downhill since then, pretty much. Yeah, you're right, Licks. Snidely Whiplash, with the with the handlebar mustache and everything. He started all this shit. Such a douche. Nacho says the climate is what I'm expecting something from. Entering an El Nino phase, the continental drift is in a sweet spot, causing less oxygen in the lowest levels. Africa is splitting in the polar shift. Could be. As I said earlier, I just think my take on it is, and this is nothing I'm rooting for. Don't get me wrong, but when I look at it, I'm afraid that there's going to be an apocalyptic event that will take place long before climate change can do, life-killing damage or life-changing damage. Lick says, it's like how flying cars are totally possible with current technology. They're just so inconvenient to today's society that nobody wants to introduce them to the public. I never thought about that. I never even thought about that, but that kind of makes sense, because when you think about the technology that we do have, it certainly doesn't seem like it would be a huge stretch to be able to manufacture a flying car. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Raven now Raven's even darker than I am for bringing this up at all. Raven says, how long do we have left? Hopefully not long, not gonna lie. And Willie says, I feel space weapons are useless. We can already destroy cities within hours or minutes without having to wait for the planet and the weapon to be aligned just right. True, but I wonder too, though, I was gonna say, but, and this is what I concern myself with when you see, the U.S. starting a space force and all that stuff. You could also be looking at a situation where, just like it was a race to get nukes, maybe the race to this first big space weapon is what changes everything. Okay, let's just pick a contender. Say Russia comes up with a real legitimate space weapon that can be fired from space and just obliterate whatever parts of the world it would like to. What happens then? And that brings in another question. Okay, say there, and I think to some degree it's going on. If there is a race to creating this highly advanced space weapon, whoever gets there first, whoever accomplishes it, then what? They would be put in a situation of, hey, we got here first, but your enemies are trying to do the same thing. So what do you do with that technology? Do you allow the opposition to achieve the same thing and get equal with you? Or do you actually threaten to use it? Oh, boy. True, like Raven says, but it's easier to stop missiles than something like a beam of light coming from space, right? Especially, Raven, if you're the only one that can control that beam. Really? I didn't know that, Demi. He says, yeah, we are expanding away, but our galaxy is on course for collision with Andromeda Galaxy. Really? I didn't know that. That's got to be... Well, I shouldn't say got to be. I don't know that for a fact. But I would think that is got to be many, many, many years away, though, isn't it, Demi? Us impacting the Andromeda Galaxy? Oh, he said, yeah, Jack said in about 2 billion years. That's what I mean. So, okay, for once I'll ask a question, not go on to another question. I know we have this delay. I apologize, and I get I get wound up in talking about this, and I don't let you guys answer what I ask. All right, if I say, Now, what I'm asking is not necessarily life on Earth obliterated. I'm talking about whatever you want it to be, nuclear war, something, or could even be virus. When we have a truly earth-changing event, something that reconstructs everything we know about life on this planet, that event happening, I'm going to put the over-under at 30 years. Do you guys think it will be more than 30 years from now or less than 30 years from now that event happens? And this time I will actually, as I said, wait for the stream delay and see what you guys think. It says I'll do it now once I'm done putting in these nuclear codes I won at Chuck E. Cheese. Willie says less. Jack says a meteor could hit us at any moment. It's unlikely, but it could happen. They now think that's what caused the Great Flood described in all the religious texts roughly 11,000 years ago. Why not? But don't we have the technology, Jack? Don't we have decent technology to see those things coming? Or no? I could be wrong on that. Thieves of Hearts also believes less than 30 years. Wow. For those of you just coming in, we're asking the apocalyptic event happening of any sort that reconstructs life on this planet. Does that event happen more than 30 years from now or less than 30 years from now? Eric thinks more. Erwin says, I think 100 tops on the what? It's dealer's choice. Yeah. We can see them coming. Right. I understand that, Rosa, but that's what I mean. We'd have a warning on those, right? Ethan says, in all honesty, I wish really hard for more than 30 years. Sure, me too. But I'm more leaning towards less. I'm going to need a bunker in 5 years. That's exactly where I am. And not even for myself. I plan on being gone within 30 years. But my children, my grandchildren, I mean, that's who I'm looking out for now. Of course, I'm hoping I'm wrong. But I think Thieves of Heart says, I got to admit, I'm surprised how many people agree with me. I thought that was me just being too pessimistic. To see them sometimes to stop them. No, I'm not talking about stopping them. That was cool what Bruce Willis did with his crew and everything, but the reality isn't there. Yeah. Cyberspace is more than 30. And Willie says, I think the world may end within all our lifetimes. Hi, Chrome. Oh, Chrome says, so what did I miss? So what we're asking right now is an apocalyptic event here on the planet. And by apocalyptic, we're saying something that entirely changes the structure of this world. So an apocalyptic event of any sort, does it happen more than 30 years from now or less than 30 years from now? Solara says, you plan on being gone? Papa Curtis is apparently running to the grave. I'm just playing the numbers, pal. I would be 92. The numbers aren't good for me living to 92, especially a big fat bastard like me. Jack says, fire Bruce Willis at Stuff in Space. Problem solved. I know. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, too. We'll be fine. Chrome thinks we'll be fine. Chrome's optimistic. Licks pulled out Bugs Bunny giant meteor magnet. Rosa says, collisions between galaxies are very peaceful. Even if it happened today, the chance that it would affect us is minuscule. It just takes so long for these collisions to go from start to finish. Really? So you guys have a lot more knowledge on those types of things than do I. Luckman Shahab says, you never know, Curtis. This could all just be a simulation. True. If so, in the words of Andrew Tate, escape the Matrix. Yeah, that would be. I think that would be. If everything's got to end, I think that would be a perfectly appropriate finale for us, is to find out that we were just some sort of experiment, or we're some advanced civilization 8-year-old kids science fair. Come on, even if we had to all go out, you'd have to go out laughing at that one. Jack says, and I don't want to miss a thing. I said I wouldn't cry. Dimmy says, I had to think about how long 30 years is. I'd be 55, so there's a chance something could happen. Yeah, that's, and again, just things like, well, not things like our technology, our human technology advancing at such an accelerated rate over the last 25 years just opens up so many more possibilities for a huge apocalyptic event. What if the world is flat and it's just a petri dish in a lab? Once again, Dayton Chris, yeah, that would just be a storybook ending. Jack says South Park nailed it. We're a reality TV show for gay aliens. Erwin says the science project would probably be the best case scenario. But it's sad that so many of us. Well, I shouldn't say it's sad. It's realism, but it's unfortunate that so many of us do believe that within 30 years the big event could happen. But again, especially now with if we're talking weaponry, if we're talking war, you have Russia amping up their military and their hypersonic missiles and everything. You have China pouring tons of money into their missile systems, and now you have America saying they've got to respond, and they're in the process of upgrading and updating everything. And what's, to me, is a much bigger deal than that is all the things going on militarily and as far as military science goes, military tech goes, that we don't know about. Because I've always said, the military budget in America is insane in number, but I believe probably necessary. And I've always hoped that a significant portion of that budget is going towards military items that we know nothing about. I would hope we have put tech in place in case of a war that is of a high-tech enough nature and a modern enough nature that obviously the military couldn't let us or anyone else know about them. The unfortunate thing about that is we'll never know unless there's war. Chrome says, just look back at human history. It's not as bad as it's been. Well, it depends on your definition of bad, Chrome. Are there more violent times in human history? Sure, absolutely. But I don't know that there's been any time in history where, at least for me, you can see as many real potential apocalyptic events as you can right now. Because the things that were true back then, if you're going back to the Cold War, was obviously nuclear war. There's always been the threat of the giant asteroid just taking us out. Well, that all still exists, but now we've piled on top of it with our own technological advances, things like the possibility of AI taking some sort of action. But most importantly, our technology has advanced to a place where it's not hard to believe that weaponry even more advanced and more destructive than nukes could be right at somebody's fingertips. Okay, did you guys see that on, I don't know if it was significant enough for you guys to see. Something just happened and the lights just dimmed a little bit, like we lost a little bit of power. I think somebody higher up than even Susan is watching this stream and wants us to shut up. Willie says, I think we're better off hitting each other with metal sticks. At least the planet wasn't dying and the robots weren't threatening us. Yeah, got a point. Yeah, the old, it's better just have a fight with boards with a nail in them. This is it. It's now. I know, Jack. That was weird. I don't know if you guys could see it because it was very subtle. And in my little studio here, I got lots of lights to bounce them off the walls and stuff to try and center it. and they all just again, it wasn't huge. It was just all of a sudden it just dimmed a little bit. Could have been me just dimming a little bit too. That's entirely possible. Nacho says we're expecting a gnarly solar storm today. I didn't know that. The sky will be pretty for a while at least. Oh, really? No, I didn't. I didn't know that. Jack says, "Take me, Jesus. Ignore everything I ever said about you." Yeah, me too. uh, Rosa says, "I hope AI is as kinky as I am because I'm ready for an AI-dominated sextopia." There you go. That wouldn't be a bad way to go out. Let's just go. Let's go out in a rage of kink. Ethan says, "Well, if Curtis goes now, I call dibs on his Ryuk shirt." Yeah, this is a newer one too. It's yours. I had actually. I think I'm not sure. There's one. I think I have two of these because I bought one and I think I had one given to me. Moist says, "Hopefully we get GTA 6 before it all ends now," because we're the thing is, Moist. The majority here, when we asked if you think the apocalyptic event will take place in more or less than 30 years, the majority said they think it's going to happen within 30 years, and there's no way we're getting GTA 6 within 30 years. So we're playing GTA 5 for our eternity. And then just to mix it up, we'll throw in a little San Andreas here and there. Rosa said, "Fun fact, as long as the nuclear missile explodes in the air, aka airburst, the nuclear waste will disappear very quickly." I've heard that, which is why Hiroshima is perfectly habitable and Chernobyl isn't. I've heard that before, Rosa. That's interesting. It's interesting. Is it really? Chrome says GTA 6's reveal trailer is this Tuesday. Well, hopefully we make it till then at least, anyway. Yeah, Willie was saying the same thing. That's cool. About goddamn time. Dennis says, "Do you think Germany and other European countries spend enough money for military? Many years we Europeans bought Russian gas and you paid for it." Well, it's just the way that's why when we have that's a good question, Dennis. When we have the conversations here in America about America's military spending, which is extreme, it's the nature of just the way things have unfolded in this world. And a lot of Europe has been able to not have to have the huge military budget. And this isn't a complaint. I mean, I think it's worked out for all. The huge military budgets because we're aligned together. And just as far as military, I know people get sensitive about this. I'm not talking about culture. I'm talking strictly military. America has always been kind of a big brother who's got your back because we did put all that money into the military. And now that we've been doing that, we're locked into it. So, I mean, and again, that's not a complaint. It's just the way things unfolded. St. Christoph says, "The thing about Russia is that they don't play their role. The U.S. is the armory, Russia is the gas station, China is the one who makes stuff for cheap." That's well put. that's well put. I like that. Willie says, "I'm a super pessimist, so I think about these things all the time. I honestly think that we are screwed. Worse, what's worse, that for all we know, when humanity goes, it's the end of life in the universe." As far as we know so far, yeah, true. And I see, I can honestly say I'm not a pessimist at all. Actually, excuse me, I would consider myself an optimist. But I do enjoy discussions of this nature, and that's what I said right at the top. I bring this up not to bring anybody's day down because it interests me. And just because something might be depressing doesn't mean, it's not something to be thought about, to be talked about. Gnome Same says, "As a military ally to America, Australia has gone about ridiculously expensive submarines we'll never have a use for." Really? I didn't know that. Australia has a significant submarine fleet? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Chrome says AI won't have any effect on nukes, honestly, for a number of reasons. AI isn't actually intelligent. Also, the fact they run on floppy disks. Yeah, when we talk about AI, the AI threat, Chrome, I think it's more of the potential for what AI could be programmed to do. And as I've said, my concern on that is when you start programming AI to reach its own conclusions, and even more so to take its own actions on those conclusions. Solara says, I might have said this before, but I always wonder if aliens ever look into space and wonder if there's other life in the galaxy, and it makes me feel weirdly positive about the universe. Well, I've always said, I think it would be very arrogant of us to think that with the vast expanse of the cosmos, that we could be the only situation where there is, this type of life, intelligent life on a planet. I mean, we can't even wrap our brains around the vastness, the endlessness that is space. How could we possibly be the only situation of this nature? The thing is, that same factor, the absolute insane amounts of space we're dealing with, is what means we could very well never run into one another. Dayton Chris says, what about climate change and natural disasters? Yeah, climate change, as I had said earlier, it's a threat, but my personal opinion is something else is going to happen before climate change could really make that apocalyptic or have that apocalyptic impact. Natural disasters, definitely part of the equation. And that's the thing. It just seems like, as I was saying to Chrome, all the existing threats to humanity that have been around for hundreds, thousands of years are still with us. Whether it is the giant asteroid or whatever it may be, but we just keep adding new layers of things that could kill us all. Yellowstone go boom, Raven says. Chrome says, by the way, here's a good laugh. Danielle Brooks and Jason Momoa were just cast for the Minecraft movie they're starting filming. Oh, that's cool. Erwin says, if and when things get that far with AI, will it look at human history and choose a path that we created like Terminator? Well, that's my thoughts, Erwin, is a lot of people, when we talk about that, a lot of people like to poo-poo that away. And again, because as they say, AI only knows what a human feeds it. But and you can already see this happening to a certain degree, in the quest for making more and more intelligent AI, I can easily see the brainiacs giving the AI more and more leeway and more ability to come to their own conclusions. And I still think that's got a real legitimate chance of, if not being apocalyptic, at least being a real major problem at some point. Gnome Sane says, what's the end point of our evolution? Will we just all become individual planet-sized gaseous clouds? I don't know. I mean, we do know, obviously, this world can't go on forever because someday the sun's going to burn out. But I don't think there's any chance that life remains, or at least human life remains on this planet until then. Zuchen says, I wonder if many years later in the future we will be able to time travel like in the movies. I'm real interested in time travel, Zuchen. So I've read up on it. We've had conversations about it, and it seems like to go back in time, at least to the current level of knowledge we have of the physical being of this part of the universe we live in. Scientists say that's impossible. And again, I would tell you exactly why, but they get way over my head. But that's always interested me. Now, you know, they say going forward in time is a possibility, and they explain it by, if you were to go at a certain speed, then it slows down for you while it stays regular for the rest of us. But to go back in time, the nerds who, and I say nerds with the ultimate respect, the nerds who research that stuff say it's a no-go. Lick says, yeah, but what if human life puts on a lot of sunblock right before the explosion? Well, then we win. Well, do we win? Then we exist. It's got to be like SPF 337,000, but sure, that would be definitely our saving grace. Jack says to go back in time, you'd need gravity equal to that of a black hole. Put simply, yes. And again, I don't pretend to have a good grasp on any of that, but that's basically what I had read. Yeah, Jack summarized it very well, and that's why the scientists who research such things say it's not something that can happen. But that does make you wonder, though. I mean, if we really want to get like all existential about it, what is time? If time isn't observed, does time exist? You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I am saying? That sounds like Butters. Because time only exists because we observe it, right? We count it. I mean, sit down and think about it. Think of life or existence without time. What is it exactly? Lowbrow cartoon banned in several countries. That's a good screen name. Says modern problems require modern solutions. Slathers on more sunscreen. Angel says this got deep. Pause. Yeah, I mean when that's one that makes my tiny little brain almost fry, because really time is just something. To me, it's not something tangible. It's just something we choose to observe. Raven says an unorganized mess. Hi, Canal. Michael says, what if we die and come back? What would be the point of that if it's true? True. That's not my belief structure, but you're right. A lot of people do believe that. Yeah. Like we're constantly recycled. Yeah. Jack says the definition of time can be seen as cause and effect, in which case it doesn't require us. Right. It's the old, well, I think on a much bigger, more mind-boggling, more mind-bending scale, if a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, did it make a sound? It's that same type of thing. Does time exist outside of us just observing it? We basically have the concept of time because we aren't eternal. Let's see. Dennis says, Curtis, in what do you believe or not believe? You mean as far as like where do we go after death? Yeah, I'm not religious at all. My belief structure is that we're just a really amazing, beat the odds accident that we exist. And I will tell you guys this. I was put that out there because I'm not a big fan of the way a lot of atheists purport themselves, looking down their noses at people who have religious beliefs and so on and so forth. Religion brings a lot of comfort to a lot of people. I have no problem with the religion. It's just not what I believe. I just think we were a happy accident. Michael says, yes, it did. I've seen game cams of that with no one around. Oh, that's true. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, you could have hunters' cameras in the woods and stuff. That's true. Good point. Willie says, I define time as the change or shifting of matter at the molecular level. If every atom ceased to move or change in any way, then time would effectively be frozen. Yeah, but again, that still takes, somebody has to observe it, right? Chrome says time is motion. It's a real tangible thing. Time moves faster with motion. Don't let people sophistry you into thinking it's just a concept. Time and gravity are literally connected. See, nobody sophistries me into anything. That's my honest, when I look at it, that's my honest take on it. But time, okay, you can say time is motion, but to me, that still doesn't break it down all the way. Time is us observing motion. You see what I'm saying at all? I mean, the cosmos, the backdrop to everything exists and will always exist. It doesn't need to count time because it's always going to be there now we're talking the backdrop of everything. It's always going to be there. So again, I know what we define time to be. My time is up. I won't be here in 30 years. We're gauging time because we observe it. But what does it actually mean? Michael says, all this talk about time got me wanting to watch Steins Gate. Yeah, Steins Gate was good, Michael. Yeah, that was really good. Is it always going to be there? The universe will die eventually. Entropy. But is the universe... When you say the universe, in other words, what is the backdrop for everything? I'm not explaining this well, what I'm trying to say. We know that we exist for whatever reason and in whatever state. But what we exist in the largest sense, the absolute largest sense, you can go back to the Big Bang, okay? And here's the issue. Even if you say, as I believe, that everything started with the Big Bang, there had to be something that it set itself against, right? How can we come from absolute nothingness? How can nothingness become something? It says time absolutely exists, but minutes, hours, days, etc. are all concepts made up by our own definition of our rotation around the sun. Right. I get the dictionary definition. I guess it'd probably be more accurate to say outside of our own lives, does time matter? And would there be a concept of time if you didn't have people who wanted to observe it? Chrome says, no, I mean, it's an actual tangible thing in science. We know for a fact time and gravity are directly linked. Higher gravity slows time down. We've proven that the more motion, the faster time goes. So you've proven that time goes faster. How? What is time then? Define time. You're saying as gravity increases, time slows down. All that is just abstract unless, again, somebody's there to observe it and measure it. If not, it didn't mean anything. Dennis says, in the universe, there's not a thing like nothingness. Before the Big Bang, there was just one point where time and space was in one spot. Okay, but again, as you said, where time and space was in one spot, what is time and space? How did time and space get there before the Big Bang? Time and space is in one spot. See, we'll never know. I mean, obviously, we're never going to understand how everything came to be, but it's fun to make your brain kind of explode trying to think about it. Say, it says, thank you for existing, Curtis. Well, we haven't determined for sure, say that I do. That's still open for debate. Willie says, here's a cool question. If heaven exists, does time exist there? It's a place where people don't age anymore. Eternity becomes tangible. Right, well then you're entering in, right, a whole different... If heaven exists, to be honest, that changes the conversations we're having about everything. Or not even necessarily changes the conversation we're having about everything, but certainly redirects them all. Oh, hold on, guys. I just figured out, finally, yay me! I figured out why, remember I told you a little while ago, it just got dimmer in here? Like I say, I've got a bunch of lights on. One did go out. Hold on a second, I'm going to see if wow. If I turn this on and it comes back on, then we should probably quit the stream because there are forces watching that we don't understand. All right. I'm sitting here looking at that light. When it got a little darker in here, I can guarantee you nobody else was in this room. But now when I just flip the switch on that light, it came back on. Now that was creepy. That was creepy. I don't know how many of you were in here. What was that, guys? About 20 minutes ago? We're having these conversations, and all of a sudden I just noticed the room got a little more dim. And we're laughing about it, saying, okay, now we're talking about things we're not supposed to talk about. And I finally looked up and just saw one of the lights that I use in the room was off. So that's why the room got a little bit dim. But when I just went over to it, I just clicked the switch and it came back on. So the bulb didn't blow. How the fuck did it turn off? There's no way you can sneak it. Like I said, I'm looking right at that light. Somebody didn't sneak in and turn it off on me. That's freaking weird. We're pissing off ghosts. Yeah. Yeah, Dennis, I'm with you. He says, this topic is too complicated for my brain. I will continue watching reality TV now. Yeah. Good call. Ghost light. That was weird. No, I don't believe in ghosts myself. No, I'm saying I don't. Although maybe I should start. That I didn't even notice that prior, because when it dimmed a little, I looked at my main tree of lights I have over there, and then I have studio lights right here close to me, and then I have one light that sits off to the side a little bit that just gives a little bit more light to the left side of the room, bounces it off the wall over there. I didn't even pay attention to that one till just now and realized it's like, oh, okay, that's the one that went out. But it went out, and as soon as I flipped the switch, it turned back on. Excuse me. Henry says, I'm an atheist. A lot of religious people say the Big Bang had to have a cause because of cause and effect. That concept applies to the universe. We don't know if it applied before the universe. Right. See, that's just, I love thinking about stuff like that. Even though I'm never, ever going to understand it, never going to be able to come up with a solution, it's still a lot of fun to think about. Angel says maybe a ghost or force. That was weird. I mean, considering what we're talking about, that's pretty funny that happened. Zuchen says, ooh, Casper wants a friend to play. Let me ask you, are you guys getting any lag? Because I'm noticing, and going by my studio here in YouTube is a bad idea because it's always screwed up. I keep seeing a little lag on my end. No lag. Okay, so it's the YouTube studio. The studio that they give us to work with is just terrible. Wolverine says just made dinner. RSV for meeting Poppy in London. Very cool. Excuse me. What'd you make for dinner? We're having hamburgers today. That makes me happy. Rosa says, here's a question that's unanswerable to think about. Is the universe infinite? We can trace the universe back to the Big Bang, but is the Big Bang the start of the universe or part of a grander one? If it were part of a grander one, yeah, that would certainly answer a little bit of what we're just talking about. It's like, okay, so, here's the Big Bang. So what existed prior to that? How can you have something from nothing? But that if the Big Bang was just a continuation of something larger, we'd still have further back to go. Slight lag, but whatever at YouTube. Yeah, Michael. Like I say, I just saw it every once in a while here on my studio dashboard, but that's not a good indicator because the dashboard is so screwed up at YouTube. Jack says they think the universe is flat. I was like, here we go again. Can we just not see over the horizon yet? I wonder. Gnome Saint says, is our universe just a boil on the arse of another lazier universe? Having us all exist within the boil on an ass would kind of be pretty perfect if you think about it. It really would. It'd be pretty cool. Lick says, maybe Christian was right. Maybe Sonic the Hedgehog is the creator of all this. I'm trying to lure out Big Green. Chrome says, for all we know, the universe is just eternal recurrence, rebooting itself every time it reaches a certain critical mass. That's interesting. I never heard that. That's an interesting thought. Excuse me. Henry says, science and religion can't coexist because they are in contradiction to each other. Bible says Earth is 5,000 years old. We know there were prehistoric times, billions of years, not 7 days created. Well, and again, see, the only reason I generally don't go too deep down that hole, at least, here in on streams and stuff, is religion is so important to some people. I mean, it's everything to them. It's what gives them peace. It's what gives them a focus. It's what makes life livable for them. And as much as I'm an asshole, I'm not looking to try and take that away from anybody or damage that. It's not what I believe at all. I'm with you with the way you're leaning. I think we were just a really happy accident. A insanely magnificent coincidence. But I don't get into it too much because I'm not looking to try and beat down anybody's belief system. If it gives you comfort, if it makes you feel good, that's good for you. Dayton Chris says, I heard a theory that we're really just a projection of our real selves somewhere else in the universe. That's different. Just a projection of our real selves somewhere else in the universe. I still think the ultimate one would be if we are just somebody else's petri dish. I don't know why, but that's the one that would make me happy. I just think that would be such an appropriate finish for us. Jack says religion is the science of cavemen. I just think of it like a natural progression. Rosa says the question is, if the universe itself is infinite, there's no beginning or ending. There's nothing from nothing. Nothing cannot exist because it doesn't exist. And yeah, and everything you say there, again, it just leads us back to that same that same dead end, that same looking for a starting point that just we're never going to be able to find. Chrome says think of it like an axis. The horizontal is space, the vertical is time. Space is its own coordinate system. It's the fourth dimension as valid as X, Y, and Z. See, I don't necessarily... I know what you're saying, but to me that still doesn't make time anything but a concept. And I'm not doing a good enough job, I don't think, explaining what I'm trying to say. I don't know what other ways I can put it. I see what you're saying, and I understand, with as gravity builds, time moves slower, so on and so forth. But I think without us observing that, we could have, if we're geared that way, lived our whole lives, Papa John's wants me to have pizza for dinner. No. Without observing time, and then time would basically be a non-factor. Because even if time slows down when gravity becomes stronger, you still have to observe that abstract concept of time. I'm not explaining myself well. Lick says, what if life existed in an infinite Papa John's? Oh, no. Oh, I'm starting to think that one might have real merit, too, and it's kind of depressing. Uger, did I say that right? We can mostly hope to find a how, but never a why, because meaning is a human construct. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it is. I mean, when you think about it, as far as our knowledge, yeah, meaning is definitely a human construct. I don't think there are any other forms of life that concern themselves about meaning in the bigger picture. Wolverine says, Papa John's is the worst pizza I've ever had. Oh, not for me. I mean, Papa John's is okay. It's not my go-to. I'll eat it, though. The worst one is, for me now, Domino's, ever since 30-some years ago when they switched their sauce. Used to be my favorite. Gnome Sane says, time is a non-factor with all the time engineers put into developing padlocks, only to have the lock-picking lawyer open them in moments. Rosa says, come on, fat man, you know you want pizza. Want that pizza? I'm bullying you because you are white, so you are fair game. Oh, I do want pizza, Rosa. The only reason I'm playing coy about it at all is my wife's making hamburgers for dinner tonight. As much as I love pizza, hamburgers are right up there. Oh, I love me some hamburgers. Are you team Pizza Hut? I don't know. Angel, Pizza Hut and Papa John's, they don't taste the same, but they're on about that same level to me of pizza. It's stuff that I'll eat it, but it's nothing I'd go out of my way for. Jack says, I evolved in the jungle. I'm not meant to understand quantum mechanics. Yeah, I'm with you, Jack. I come from that same background. I don't know if it's jungle or just dirt road for me, but or when I could eat pizza every freaking day. Wolverine says, one of the fast food of the fast food pizza trinity, Pizza Hut is my favorite. Domino's is always a good middle ground in my household. See, I used to love it. I used to love Domino's many, many years ago. And then they came out, and I still remember they made all the commercials and everything. We've changed. We've upgraded our sauce. And it was like dog shit. And continues to be. And I'm still pissed off at them for it. You know what's interesting to me too? I swear to you guys, I was thinking this beforehand, and I like this about our streams. When we have a topic, we'll always we'll always wear that topic out. We'll discuss it, and then the conversation will move to something entirely unrelated. And I always find myself wondering, what is that unrelated thing going to be? Today it was pizza, because we've had a great discussion here about our eventuality, our potential apocalypse, and I really enjoyed it. But there's, again, with any other topic, there's only so much that everyone can add into it, and it's like, okay, we've said it all. Everybody knows how everybody else feels. Now where are we going? Today was pizza. I like that. Pizza versus the universe is an awesome title. And I mean that sincerely. I enjoy the fact that that's the way us as a community we do things. Well, Michael, this sauce change. He says we have a pretty good Domino's here. No sauce change. This sauce change. I mean, I'm trying to think how long ago it would have been. Over 30 years ago. Let's see. That would have been 92. Yeah, it was before that, because I'm trying to remember where I lived when they did it. Yeah, it was more than 30 years ago, and they made a big deal about it. And I remember thinking, oh, they improved the sauce, because I was still young enough to believe that companies made good decisions about their products. And then it was nasty. And I think I told you guys I wouldn't eat it after that. And then one time I was coming back from doing a wrestling show, and I hadn't had dinner. I was hungry as hell. I was coming back, I think it was the Lake George area in New York. And I was like, I just got to find someplace open and get something to eat. And I found there was a little Domino's. I hadn't eaten it in years. So I'll try them again. Went in, ordered a pizza, got in the car because I wanted to get home. It was wee hours in the morning. That's why there wasn't much of anything open. And so I'm sitting there eating while I'm driving, took a slice of that out, took a bite, and was like, I couldn't be that hungry. And I threw that fucking thing away. I threw it on the side of the road, let the animals have it. It was disgusting. And that's the last time I've retried Domino's. Rosa said, the worst feeling in my life is when my favorite small restaurant changed their recipe for their beef stew. I've never felt more suicide transgender than then. Oh, I'm with you there, Rosa. I've had a similar thing happen with, again, small local restaurant with roast beef sandwiches. It was my favorite thing ever, and they changed the way they did it all. The only thing is, mine at least had a happy ending, because they ended up, it was a family-run restaurant, and a different member of the family ended up taking over and brought back the original way. But yes, I used to be in that same despair. Jack says, how could they not make good decisions? They have a bunch of dudes come up with ideas who all want the betterment of society. Fuck your young, naive self. Let's invite the chaos. Coverlang! Yo, rock. Says, so glad you're back at it. Used to watch your videos years ago. Well, I'm glad you're in here with us. And Michael says, I think I read about that a mouse died from that pizza. Nothing would surprise me. Angel says, any restaurants in North Carolina you like? Yeah, we do have a lot of good eating around here. We actually have a couple decent pizza places. I didn't think we were going to be able to find them, but no, we do. One just down the road from us. But yeah, the food here is actually quite good. You know what it is? This area, North Carolina in general, but this area in specific has exploded with population. So you have so many people from different parts of the country coming here that you get a selection of everything, bringing their own foods, their own cultures of their specific parts of the country with them. So it really is good. Yeah, I was surprised. There's a place right down the road from us. There's a little restaurant just called Joey's. And you guys know I'm a pizza fanatic. Whenever we go someplace different, that's what I do. I try a pizza there locally. Their pizza is easily in the top 10% of my favorites. We have a Marco's Pizza too. You're not talking, Willie, you're not talking about there's a Marco's Pizza chain, but there's also, I'm sure, many individual locally owned restaurants named Marco's as well. Lick says, what if every galaxy and all the universes in them is just a collection of pizza toppings that's about to be eaten by some unknowable cosmic entity, but he's currently mad because delivery is late? Now that would have tied everything in together perfectly. That would that would have made all of this work. I'm for that. Wood says pizza. I ate pizza once. They locked me in a pizza room. A pizza room with Ronies. Ronies drive me crazy. Oh, it's the chain. It could be. The No, that wasn't Marcos. I take that back. We do have Marcos around here. I have not had Marcos yet. Um, it doesn't. I'm just trying to think. You guys know me in names. There was one restaurant. I take that back. I did go to Marcos. Yeah, that was this one. When we first moved down here, I went to Marcos. We didn't have them up in New York. It was horrible. The restaurant was dirty. I went in to pick it up and everything. Nothing about the experience was good. However, shortly after, that restaurant got shut down. I believe the licensee who had the, who was doing business through Marcos threw them out. And I'm told that Marcos is quite good. I just need to go to a different one. So I'll probably try it again at some point. Is that a metal shirt, Mortem? No. This is Ryuk from Death Note. Ryuk's one of the great characters of anime. Oh, Rosa. I bet I could make for a great billionaire. I would sit around, do nothing, laugh at the poor, and oof myself when I'm 29 for no reason. Jesus Christ. Angel says, do I recall correct? You don't like cheese. Despise it. Now, there are exceptions, pizza obviously being it. But as far as if you get specific, American cheese is one of the most disgusting things, maybe the most disgusting thing I can think of. Right up there with mayonnaise. Those two things. I mean, it actually, even just talking about the idea, of eating American cheese makes me want to, ugh. Chrome says, Spaz Kid has bad taste in pizza, if I remember right. He eats literal frozen cardboard. See, Chrome, I can't say anything there because I'll eat that too. There are, and the funny thing is, of the frozen pizzas, I can't remember the brand name, but of the frozen pizzas, I will get and keep to have in the freezer because you guys know I can't cook, so my wife's not here. I need to have just something I can throw in a microwave or in the oven. It's actually one of the cheap ones that I like because I again, I'm a pizza nut, so I buy all the different frozen pizzas to try them out and see what's the best. I can't think of what the brand name is. I've got it right down in the freezer, but it's actually one of the cheaper ones that would be considered the real drizzling shits. That is my favorite, so I can't throw a stone at them for that one. Jack says, if we ever meet, I would dip American cheese into mayo in front of you until you rightfully punch me. The best love stories start that way. Jack. It's just, as I've told you guys, I can't describe to you how disgusting I find American cheese and mayonnaise. It just, the thought of it. Chrome says, I think I asked you about making a recipe with American cheese once for a G100. I think it's one of the few times you refused me and that the boxing match with you, Spaz Kid. Yeah. But it wouldn't be bad, but Spaz Kid has never been that's not his nature. He's not an aggressive nature. He's not a fighter. So I wouldn't do something like that to him. But yes, I'm not eating American cheese. If we had a big goal we wanted to reach for something, I don't know, at the Goosh or here at Spaz Boys, or if we were doing something big for a charity or something like that, I might force myself to do it. I mean, it's just as putrid an idea as I can imagine. Willie says, what do you think about buffalo wings? A great deal of my family is from Buffalo, so we were picky about good wings. Spaz Kid's a nut for wings. He just had wings. He just came up right before I started the stream. Said, Dad, I'm gonna order some wings. You want something? I like them, but again, I'm boring, Willie. So when I get wings, I get them plain. I don't like any sauces or anything. My tastes are so freaking boring. But to have wings, they're not actually buffalo wings, so there's no sauce on them. But to have wings with no sauce, yes, I eat them, but don't get any sauces. Rick says, we here at Spaz Boys have two brain cells. They are, what is life and what is it made of and can it be understood? And, food yummy. Pretty much. That's it, Licks. And some optimists would say, and everything in between. But those of us who are regulars here know that no, there's nothing in between. It's just one extreme or the other. Chrome says, oh, it's happening again? Hold on. So, there's a link here. I'll check real quick. Oh, I heard about this. Chrome, the link she sent me is just in. Republican senators asked Biden admin to immediately restrict travel between the U.S. and China over a mysterious illness. I've been reading about this. China admits that it's going on, so I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. Let's try and get ahead of something. But yes, what the hell is this about now? Mistress says, watching Breaking Bad for the first time, Curtis. Oh, it is so good. Anyway, I'm thinking we will end due to one of three things: war, pandemics, or aliens. We didn't even get to talk about aliens this time. Well, we did. We touched on it a little bit. Yeah, Breaking Bad is amazing. I just watched another episode today. Recorded another episode today. Such a good show. Rosa says, I'm a trucker. It's the law that truckers are aggressive, annoying, obnoxious assholes. Sorry, sweetie, move along or I'm going to tailgate you. Yeah, Rosa. Well, I was too. I get you. Yeah. And Mistress says, hey, new pandemic anime. Let's go. It is. They're talking about this mystery illness. I've been reading about it. It's funny that Chrome brought it up just earlier today. It's flooding their hospitals again and everything. And of course, too, the information is coming out of China. So you don't know how accurate anything is. I mean, aren't they still trying to say like COVID only killed 5,000 in China or some stupid shit like that? So you never know for sure what's fact. But putting a travel ban is, how can that be considered a bad thing? It's not like China. It's not even like China is saying, "Oh, this isn't happening." Somebody from the outside is trying to make us look bad. China's admitting it's going on. And Chrome says, myself and others heavily suspected this. They want to get us ready for another lockdown right before the big election. Watch, the airlines have been testing the waters for a while. I can only speak about here in America. I don't think it'll play. I don't think you can get away with it, and it's their own fault. And you guys know, I'll readily admit it. I was a big believer when they came out with the vaccines and everything. Read up on it as best I could. I thought conceptually it seemed good. What I don't like is we were lied to try and get people to do what they wanted them to do. And by that I mean when they came out with these vaccines and everything, they told us straight out, well, if you take the vaccine, you'll be protected. You take the vaccine, you won't be able to transmit. So none of that was true. That was your wish list, and you presented it as fact to get us to do what you want. Had they been upfront with us and said, this is what our studies show, this is what we think might happen, blah, 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 that would have been an entirely different situation. So considering the way they handled it, even put off people like me who was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, I think people will just ignore it. Whether it's a travel ban or whether it's social distancing or masks, I don't think people will do it. And I am afraid that they will not do it. And I have to be careful what I say. YouTube gets very sensitive. They will not do it to the extent that there is serious problems. They will resist to that degree. That is why when it went back, if you guys remember back when we were in the midst of the pandemic, I refused to, because I was at the behest. I had a huge argument with a couple different people about it, wanting me. Their stance was, you're not doing the right thing by having a public voice and not telling people they need to go out and get that shot, because I wouldn't say that. I had said all along, you need to do what you think is best for you. Just because this is what I believe doesn't mean it's best for everybody else. And now those people that were so adamant that I needed to do that, we don't hear from them anymore. Because everybody wants what they think. And as I said at the time, I took the vaccine because it seemed to make sense to me. That doesn't mean I knew or felt like they knew everything. I was willing to take that risk. For those who didn't want to, I completely understand why they wouldn't. Jack says they also said it was only 80% or whatever effective, didn't they? Well, see, it kept gradually changing, Jack. That's the part that pissed me off. It kept changing. Initially, it was going to be 100%. That's what they were telling you. Oh, you're going to take this shot and you're good. You're good to go. And the problem with that is they defend it by saying, well, like anything else in science, we update as we get more information. That's bullshit, because you told us this. When you tell us something that when you tell us something is a fact and it later turns out to be untrue, you lied. Because you said something that you hoped was the case. You didn't have any information to back it. You couldn't have had concrete information to back that up because it wasn't true. And so they don't deserve any respect, and they don't deserve to be believed. Chrome says that point of view and thought process is too mature and independent for some. You're right, Chrome. One person in specific, I mean, this guy was livid. He was private messaging me after one of our streams about it. And he was just livid that I wouldn't come out and tell, you're doing a great disservice, blah, 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 blah. And of course, you guys know me, I just mocked him and derided him and everything because he was an asshole. And I said, listen, if you feel that strongly about it, build your own following if you can find other assholes similar to you, and do it yourself. But I'm not telling people. I don't have if I know something is a 100% fact, 100% without doubt, I'll tell you that. And I'll encourage you to, whatever the case may be a part of that. But there's no way I could know 100% that these shots were going to be effective. Or there's no way I could know 100% that these shots weren't going to have some sort of ill effect. And so I'm not going to tell anybody to do it. When people asked me, and they did, if I was getting the shots or not, I told them I was, and I told them why. But I'm not going to try and convince you to do something. It's Oh, yeah, remember that, Rosa? Your real name is not Curtis. I forgot that one dude that was shouting all the time, but it was funny. Who was that, guys? Because he was after Mark Bark. Your name isn't Curtis, dude. Chrome says, if a scientist's funding is dependent on a government, there's always solid concern of conflicts of interest. 100%. Absolutely. But I've never understood that. Why would anybody, especially in a position where you do have, something of a megaphone to society, why would you state something as fact that you don't know to be fact? And it goes on all the time. Hell, it goes on in quote unquote journalism all the time. I just don't get it. Yeah, Mark Bark is the Supreme Lord. Yeah, I agree, Rosa. He changed his name a lot. That's right, Chrome. He'd come in under different names all the time. Yeah. Rick says he did out Wolverine Green as British murderers once, so he might be onto something. Well, you know what'll be interesting? I told you guys the other day, I'm thinking of shifting this room around and trying to make a green screen area over here that would be just for live streams. I don't know if I can do it. I still got to do all the measurements and everything and see if it'll work. But if so, I'd almost have to do it with a tip of the cap to Mark Bark, because he always said everything behind me was a green screen. Well, maybe he can see the future. Maybe he was just looking ahead. Dayton Chris says Trump lied about it. He said it was because he didn't want to cause panic. And that would have played better if he had accepted that right away. When he came out and initially said, and you guys know I'm not a Trump, I readily admit I voted for Trump. I'm not a Trump fan. I don't like the man. But when he came out and initially said, okay, it's a bad cold, bad flu, blah, 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 he was wrong. But you could see him saying that in the early days, thinking, okay, let's not cause a panic. From the information I'm getting, this is what I believe. But where he failed was, okay, when he found out that that isn't the case, he didn't recant it. And that's just his ego. That's why I don't like the man. His ego rules over all. And anything is better than admitting he was wrong. I don't agree with the concept of telling people that just to try and make them feel better. But I could at least understand it if when he found out what he said was wrong, he would have owned up to it. Wolverine says Mark Barker's life. Luke Fred, yeah, that's it was always Fred something, right? Wolverine. Chrome Mark Bark. Chrome says, so how was your heart feeling, Curtis? No unexpected mystery heart attacks for you or any of your fellow athletes in the near future? Well, the only thing is, though, Chrome, for me, I couldn't be part of that group because look at the size of me. A heart attack wouldn't be a mystery. There's no way they could make the case that, ooh, didn't see that coming. That big fat bastard. Rick says, we all know that Curtis is a gay anime twink lover. I'm always willing, as they said in Stripes, we are willing to learn. Yeah, Fred, what a dipshit. It's almost sad. I've said this forever, and I get a lot of private messages and stuff. People just reaching out, just saying, I've had a bad day or this is going wrong. I just wonder if you got any advice. And I know it's just I'm an old fart, and it doesn't mean you're wiser. It just means you've lived through a lot of shit. But I've never understood with people. There's a lot of people out there who want to reach out. There's a lot of people out there who want attention, who want this or that. I don't understand the idea, instead of, even if it's in the chat here, instead of coming in and saying, hey, Curtis, can I private message you? Is there a way I can private message you about something? Because I'll always give people a way to do so. Well, why would you come out and to try and get your attention just be an aggressive douchebag? Especially because with me, that's one of the things, maybe it's my years of stand-up that that prepped me for it, but I'm really good at giving it back to somebody. I can rip somebody a new one and do it really well. I think it's a talent. So why would you want me to come at you if you're already in this state in life where you're feeling whatever, you're feeling worthless, or you're just feeling frustrated? Why would you want to take more abuse when it's just as easy to actually reach out and say, hey, can you give me advice on this? Or what do you think about this? I'll never understand that. I will never understand that. And that's what you get with people like Mark Bark. Because it's just someone absolutely desperate for attention. And so you intentionally look for negative attention that's just going to increase those issues that made you looking for attention in the first place. Rosa, hey Curtis, can I private message you for pictures of my new pet? Oh, Jack, I thought I had menopause. Turns out it was just my new bidet. Nacho says it's conflict itself that tricks them into thinking they have meaning. Yeah, true. It's like doing drugs for a temporary high. I think you're right, Nacho. Well, that's why too. You'll see I shut it down after a while. If they want to come in and be at least a little entertaining in being an asshole, I'll entertain it and go back and forth with them for a while. But you're right, Nacho. That's why after a little bit of it, when it just, as it always does, it eventually degrades into just the same phrase being said over and over, the same name being called all the time, then they have to go, because then it's boring me. Rosa says, I can be an entertaining asshole, Curtis. Just give me the word. You guys are fun. All right, well, this was a great stream. This was a really, really good time. Thank you, guys. I think that was a fun conversation, and they always are here. And I do like the way we pivoted today from the apocalypse to pizza. and then further on to Mark Bark. So we've really covered everything. But we'll have tons more stuff. I'm hoping to do, I'm not promising. If everything works out and I can keep streaming and everything, we will do gaming streams again here or there. I haven't decided what, I just never end up with the time to finish a long form game all the way through. And I have two that I really wanted to do. Well, I have more, but two at the top of my list, which is the second season of The Walking Dead. Never got to finish that. And Yakuza. You guys had me playing Yakuza. That was a blast. And then again, got things scheduled to where I just didn't have time to stream anymore. But regardless, we're going to have lots of these topical streams. We'll still have our joke streams, and we'll just have our just for shits and giggles streams like we always have. But thank you guys for participating. Thanks for hanging out with me. This was a blast once again. And I will talk to you guys as soon as I can.